Coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast, how does interim head coach Antonio Pierce feel the day after the big victory over the Giants at Allegiant Stadium? That plus a whole lot more comes up on Tuesday's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast, November 7th, 2023.
Just win. Just win. Just win. Just win.
The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won. And won. And won. And won. And won.
And welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Thank you so much for making the show your first listen of the day. Make sure you subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast to get the latest edition of the show as soon as it becomes available. Of course, as always, if you're checking this out on YouTube, you know we appreciate you, and we appreciate my man Ari. He does a great job every day making sure we're up on YouTube, looking good and sounding good. We definitely appreciate him. You can check him out on Twitter at Ari Producers. You can always hit me up, as many of you do, at your boy Q254. And we got the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. We'll get back to your calls and texts coming up in segment number 3 of today's show. Segment number 2, you'll hear from a couple members of the Raiders secondary. And here in segment number 1, news and notes of the day, including hearing from interim head coach Antonio Pierce as he had his press conference on Monday at the Intermountain Health Performance Center. Before we get to that, though, I do want you to know today's show is being brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. And also, before we jump into news and notes of the day, I want to give a personal shout out to my guy Vegas Jase, a real good friend of mine. He passed his test, his Nevada State Contractors electrical exam on Monday. He tweeted out, "Just want to let everyone know I passed the Nevada State Contractors electrical exams today. E3 Electric LLC starting soon." So that's my guy. Anyone who knows me personally knows Vegas Jess, knows that that's my dude. That's my running buddy. That's my homeboy. Whatever you want to call him, that's that guy. Now, he may push off in the small of my back while we're playing football on the street, but that's okay. I'll forgive him for that. Whatever the case may be, congratulations to my guy Vegas Jess. And since Raider Nation is one big family, I wanted to go ahead and share that news and notes with you, because I think that's really special that he's got an opportunity to open up his own business, E3 Electric LLC, starting soon. Now let's go ahead and jump into news and notes of the day. First of all, I want to give a practice squad update, and I was kind of surprised when I saw this note roll down the pipeline, but the Raiders signed Brandon Parker to the practice squad. Remember, Brandon Parker was going to miss the entire season, or was supposed to miss the entire season after being put on IR with another injury that he suffered during training camp in the preseason. Well, good for Brandon Parker. He's back on the practice squad, which provides extra depth along the Raiders offensive line, something that he's very familiar with anyway. It's not like he's some guy that's coming in from an organization outside and has to learn what they want to do. Carmen Brasillo and company on that Raiders offensive line. Clearly, he's going to be a guy that could be, pressed into action if need be. And, something to pay attention to, and someone to pay attention to is Thayer Munford, who did not play in the game on Sunday because he's been banged up. So next time we have a chance to catch up with Antonio Pierce, which will be on Wednesday, have to ask him about Thayer Munford and how he's doing moving forward. And, if Brandon Parker is a guy that you may see into the action as soon as Sunday, if need be, or at least called up and put onto the active roster as far as depth goes with the Jets coming to town. So that was a little roster update that I wanted to give you. Again, I thought it was pretty cool that Brandon Parker is able to make a return after what looked like he was going to miss 2 full seasons due to injury. And as I mentioned, Antonio Pierce, the interim head coach for the Raiders, met with us at the Intermountain Health Performance Center on Monday, and just want to go ahead and let you hear a few of his sound bites. Now, he's not a long-winded dude. He's not like Josh McDaniels, where some of his answers would be 1 minute, 2 minutes long. He's just right to the point and as a matter of fact. So got a few sound bites from him, probably about 5 or 6 that I want you to hear. Again, Antonio Pierce from the Intermountain Health Performance Center on Monday. And the first one, Vinny Bonsignore asked about just the players having a tough mindset. Coach Pierce had given them a blank sheet of paper saying that it was a clean slate, and then they had really tough practices. So here's Coach Pierce really talking about that tough mindset and why he wants them to have that tough mindset.
Every team is pretty much a reflection of their head coach. So if you're not mentally tough, that's what I pride myself on. That was my way as a player, to have that kind of mindset, not to blink, not to worry about anything. And I just wanted to start that process with the gentlemen. They bought into it. I kind of laid out that, we'll start off here and I'll dial it back. And look, they responded. It was a really, that's when I knew we were going to have a good game. just the way we practiced, the intention, the purpose was there.
So there you go. Coach Pierce talking about the tough mindset and that the team really is a reflection of their coach. And so if Antonio Pierce is going to be their coach, he's an intense guy. He's an energetic guy. Obviously, he's a tough guy, right? And which is a complete opposite from what you saw with the previous staff that was there, led by Coach McDaniels. He was much more kind of soft-spoken, wasn't really intense, wasn't really one of those fiery guys. Well, Coach Pierce is. And so now you're going to see this team reflect what it looks like of the head coach, and I think that they really do enjoy that. Now, the Raiders and their defensive line and their defensive unit as a whole got to the Giants in a major way, sacking them 8 times, led by Max Crosby with 3. So you know what Max is going to bring. So what did Coach Pierce think about the rest of the defensive unit that provided 5 more sacks outside of the 3 that he saw from Max Crosby?
Yeah, maximum effort. I mean, me and Max jokes about it, me trying to max his effort, vice versa. But our defense and our team, especially our D-line, and guys that were blitzing, did a hell of a job last night of just, being relentless. And we talked about that, straining to finish through the play, playing through the whistle, not thinking that, oh, he's going to make it or that guy's going to make it. No, I'm going to make it. If we all had that mentality, roll call on the ball.
So there's Coach Pierce just talking about the guys getting after the quarterback and, what he saw from them. And I was very impressed. 8 sack performance, 2 interceptions. Again, something I talked about before the season started. 40 and 20 was the number that I was looking for, 40 sacks and 20 INTs. Right now they're at 24 sacks and they're at 8 INTs. And I'm just impressed with the fact that they're at 8 INTs. They only had 6 all of last year, and they still got 8 games left to go. Not saying that they're going to hit that number 20 as far as interceptions go, but, man, you're already at 8. That at least shows attention to detail that they're trying to go find the ball, and that's all you can ask for. Again, the last 2 seasons prior to this one, they had 6 each. Now they have 8, and they still got 8 games left to go. So if they're able to even duplicate that, say they fall short and have about 40 sacks and 16 interceptions, I'll take that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Moving forward with what Coach Antonio Pierce had to say at the Intermountain Health Performance Center on Monday. Here's Coach Pierce responding to my question about Amik Robertson. You'll hear my question about Amik messing up earlier, getting pulled from the game, and then getting put back in there and making a big play. Here's Coach Pierce just really talking about his mindset moving forward.
You mentioned young Bulls. Amik Robertson, he made a mistake early in the game. He had a chance to clear his mind and get back out there and made a big play later. How does that say about him, the player, that he's able to do that?
It goes back to our mindset with the blank paper. He turned this sheet. It was blank on the other side. Start from scratch. Kid went out there, made a play. Then came back, punched the ball out, extremely aggressive. When Amik's on his game and he's rolling, he's one of our best ball hawks, whatever he is, was he 5'8", 5'9", but he's up in the air like he's 7 feet tall, and extremely athletic, extremely competitive. He's in and out the lineup, but he's always ready and dialed in mentally, and that's one thing that, even before I got in this seat, just watching him from afar, I respect about his game.
So I thought that was a really high compliment from Coach Pierce when he says when Amik is on, he is one of our best ball hawks on the team, and there's no doubt about that. And it's funny, you're talking about one of the best ball hawks on the team when he plays across from a guy that's now got 7 career pick sixes and so many years of interceptions in Marcus Peters. But you could just tell that Amik Robertson is that guy. And, one of the plays, and Coach Pierce pointed it out, that kind of went unnoticed because it didn't turn into a turnover for the Raiders in their favor, is when he knocked that ball out. There was a receiver for the Giants that made the catch, and, Amik was able to hit the ball out, and he fumbled it, but the Raiders weren't able to get on top of it. But that was a good play there. He plays every play through the whistle, right through the end. He never gives up, even on a play where, it looks like there's going to be a completion or there is a completion. He continues to battle and he continues to fight. Even at the end of the game when he had the pass breakup on the 4th down, it was a completion until it wasn't, right? So Amik he really brings it. And when he's in the zone and when he's super confident, he's flying high. Speaking of Amik Robertson, you'll hear from him coming up in segment number 2 as you hear from multiple members of the Raiders secondary going inside the locker room. Just a couple more sound bites from Coach Pierce as he met with us at the Intermountain Health Performance Center on Monday. And this is on Tyree Wilson. And Paul Gutierrez is the one who asked this question about what he's seen from the rookie and what he'd like to see from the rookie moving forward.
Yeah, I think we've all seen the progress. It first started with just to get out of the stands. So we worked on that. And obviously he's a big human being, very talented. He's going to be a good football player in this league. But this league is very humbling. You just don't walk in day one and become the guy. And I think he's now embraced the process of working every day. You watch like a guy like Max Crosby come out to practice, or Tate come out to practice early and get in those extra reps. Well, you see him doing that as well. So the improvement, I know he had a half a sack last night, but more importantly, what he does for us in the running game, how violent he is, setting the edge. Obviously, there's going to be still more growth there for him, but he's a guy that has the right attitude, if I could say, to come to work. And I think he's been humbled about his early experience, that coaching comes a lot easier, when you get humbled.
So there's Coach Pierce on Tyree Wilson and what he's seen, and I have confidence when he says he's going to be a good player in the league, and also he's been humbled. I think that was something that was kind of telling, because it sounds like Tyree Wilson came into the league and joined the Raiders and thought he was just going to go out there and dominate because, well, that's what he's always done. At his size, right, his strength, his speed, he's always been able to just dominate, but the NFL is not the Big 12. The NFL is not Texas Tech. The NFL is not college, right? The NFL is the best of the best of the best, and so as he was humbled, it makes coaching him up a lot easier. And so it seemed like he was very humble when I met him, even before the Raiders drafted him, when I met him in Kansas City before the draft, talked to him after the draft. Seems like he was a pretty humble dude and ready to go, but it sounds like he had to be a little bit more humbled in the NFL, and that comes with failing a few times. Once you fail a few times, you say, okay, this is not exactly what I thought it was going to be. I really better step my game up, and it sounds like Tyree Wilson has done that, and the coaching staff is pretty pleased about that. Another question that I asked was about the offensive line, and talked about it quite a bit on Monday's show, that they didn't give up any sacks, and they opened up holes for Josh Jacobs. No sacks going up against a Wink Martindale-led defensive unit. That's tough because he brings pressure all the time. So I asked Coach Pierce about how much he challenged the offensive line to be on their A game to help Aiden O'Connell stay clean, which they did. And then you'll hear a follow-up about Josh Jacobs being the heart and soul of the team.
How much did you challenge the offensive line, knowing that Wink Martindale was a guy that was going to bring pressure from everywhere, and they had to keep O'Connell clean, which they did?
Yeah, I was in every meeting with the O-line this week. I was their best friend. I was encouraging them. I was trying to learn the terminology, obviously, coming from deep side of the ball the last 2 years, and not really focus on, their terminology, their techniques, their fundamentals of how they coach and talk. But being over there just in words of encouragement, because that's a good group, and they're a tight-knit group. And I think that showcased last night. If you really go back and watch the game, watch our guys come off the ball to the second level. It was impressive. It set the tone the first drive of the game. They are the reason why, if we're going to move forward and keep moving forward, it'll be because of those guys.
Josh Jacobs as well. You mentioned heart and soul of the team. That's what you wanted to see, that performance last night.
Yeah, you saw the carries. You saw the angry the angry running back. The guy that just ran he wasn't going to allow one person to tackle him. Even on that one touchdown, you just saw his legs just kind of grinding it out, man. And that's what we talked about, just the strain, fellas. Strain to finish the plays. And, again, hats off to all our players.
So I put those two together because I feel like they go hand in hand, the offensive line and Josh Jacobs and the offensive line, right? Josh Jacobs said that, the coaching staff went to him and said, hey, what do you like to do? What can we get out of you that, what are you most comfortable with? And so he told them what he wanted to run. They called the plays he wanted to run. He went to the offensive line and said, hey, this is what we're going to do. I need you to do this, that, and the other. And they reciprocated. So I think that's great. I think it was smart from the coaching staff to be able to do that. And I don't know why more coaching staffs don't do that. Hey, what do you do really well? Let's get the most out of you. And that's what they did. And you saw Josh Jacobs have his best performance of 2023 and just fell a couple yards short of 100, but had the 2 touchdowns on the day. The final soundbite is just a really quick one. Coach Pierce talking about Marcus Peters and his knee injury. He was ruled out after suffering a knee injury on Sunday, did not return to the game. So I just asked him real quick if there was any update on Peters and that knee injury.
Just wanted to ask if there's an update on Marcus Peters and his knee. He didn't return to the game.
Yeah, I haven't been down there yet. Those guys are still kind of going in because obviously the day off. But you know what? It was one of those games where I'm sure if it was, close, he would have been in there. You know what I mean? But, he was being smart, and he was being smart as well.
So I thought that was important to include that just in case you were wondering about that knee injury. And sounds like that he would have been good to go if they needed him. But at that point, they didn't need him. So it's like, all right, get Jacorian Bennett some burn. Let Amik Robertson continue to get some burn. And I think that's smart as well. Just like I think it was smart that that Coach Pierce had the practice squad players on the sideline. That's very college football-like, but I think it's awesome. Those guys are working their tail off in practice, helping the guys get ready for the game on Sunday, and then they're not there. They're not on the sidelines. But to have the practice squad players there on the sidelines, being able to observe the game and be in that environment and cheer on the guys. Again, it's very college football-like. It's very high school football-like, but that's okay. That's the environment that Antonio Pierce came from. He was a high school football coach. He was also at Arizona State as a college defensive coordinator and associate head coach. So I think that's smart, and making sure everyone on the squad feels like they're a part of the squad. And then when their number is called, hey, I need you to come up. Hey, we're going to bring you up this week. I need you to go show up and show out. They've already been there. They've already done that, and they know that, yeah, I'm part of the team. So definitely got to go out there and perform. So that's all I got for you for segment number 1 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast, news and notes of the day. Coming up in segment number 2, going to take you inside the Raiders locker room and talk to a couple guys in the Raiders secondary. You'll hear that coming up in segment number 2 after I tell you about PrizePicks. What is PrizePicks? It's the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They're the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. You're not battling thousands of players, no pros, no sharks. You pick more than or less than 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Just like that. And basketball season's back. Don't know how much you've been paying attention, but it is back. You can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that include 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. You want to play alongside some of PrizePicks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mills and comedian Andrew Schultz? You can do that in Community Plays under the Pros tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in PrizePicks community each week. You never know who you'll even play up against if you want to play against somebody. PrizePicks even offers a reboot policy, so your entries stay in play even if one of your players get injured. For football and basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and doesn't return in the second, don't worry, that player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. Right now, all you need to do is to go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use the promo code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use the promo code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Want to take you inside the Raiders locker room, let you hear from a couple members of the Raiders secondary. Want to go ahead and get this locker room sound wrapped up sooner rather than later, since pretty soon we're going to be turning the page to the New York Jets, who we saw lose on Monday Night Football to the Chargers. The Chargers' overall record improves to 4-4, as the Raiders' record is at 4-5. The Jets also are going to be coming into Allegiant Stadium for Sunday Night Football prime time action, and they're 4-4 as well. But pretty soon we'll be turning the page, putting the Giants behind us, and start looking forward to Week 10 in the NFL with the New York Jets coming to town, Allegiant Stadium, Sunday Night Football. So want to hear from Amik Robertson first, right? He was the guy that I asked Antonio Pierce about because he did make a mistake, right? He got beat pretty bad on a play where the communication just wasn't there. Antonio Pierce had him go to the sideline, and then he got an opportunity to get back in the game. When he got back in the game, he made the most of it and made some big plays. So here's Amik Robertson in the Raiders locker room following the game, started off talking about who Coach Pierce is.
You know, he's a former player. Like I said, he played the game, so we knew that he was going, we knew he was going to come with fire, come with energy, and be very aggressive on offense.
And it looked like you guys cranked the pressure up, too, against Daniel Jones when he was in there. Was that kind of a game plan going in?
I mean, Max Crosby is the condor, man. You know, like, that's what he does. So, of course, the D-line was going to bring pressure. Us as DB just looked at it as an opportunity for us to get our hands on the ball.
How difficult is it to kind of clear your mind after one play that might not go the way you want it, then all of a sudden you come back with a big play? How big is that? You've done that multiple times this year.
Yeah, but I try to limit. I gotta try to eliminate those plays, and I will.
Mm-hmm.
And AP believes me. He know what I can be in this league. He sees it every day at practice. So I'm glad he was able to give me another opportunity to go out there and make plays, for our team.
What does that mean to you to know that your coach has your back like that?
It gives me confidence to try to do the right thing over and over. He's hard. He's hard on me. He's hard on a lot of us. And I'm glad that I got a guy that that has my back and knows what I can be in this league.
Looked like you almost had a house call there. You got it back to about the 40. I thought you were going to.
I told y'all, man. I'm an offensive guy playing defense. I'm trying to tell y'all. I know it took a while for y'all to see it.
Yeah.
But that's who I am.
Yeah.
That's who I am, man.
Yeah. No, you made it. Yeah. You made it happen. It's almost not like it was infectious. It seemed like the whole defense really started cranking it up after that.
Yeah. That's what we got to do. Mm-hmm. Anytime we out there, that's an opportunity for us to get a turnover or get a stop. To get a offense momentum to get in the paint.
How much energy did you guys feed off of from the crowd today?
Oh, Raider Nation's always great, man.
Mm-hmm.
They always great.
Did it feel a little bit more cranked up today, though?
I don't want to say the wrong thing. All I can say is, our fan base is very consistent. They very consistent.
Speaking of energy, though, Jermaine Illuminor said that your personality on the field is kind of infectious. How much is that something you're cognizant of, out there doing your thing?
I love the game, man. Yeah. I said, been playing this since I was 5. No matter, if I'm out there, I'm going to play with passion. I'm going to play with energy. So, they know what they got in me, man. I tell them all the time, man, my energy is always, I try to be unmatched, but guys like Max Crosby, man, Nate Hobbs, I think they like right there behind me, so I got to crank it up a notch.
Yeah, speaking of Max, we heard the victory cigars came from him. What's your take on that?
I know why he did it. I know how this league is. We don't want to get too high on ourselves. We just wanted to celebrate the first win for AP. We know how this league is, so we got a 24-hour rule, man. We're going to enjoy this. Definitely will. But, after the 24 hours, man, we're going to dial back in and focus on the next week.
Jermaine said that you guys had a really tough practice last Thursday. It was about an hour long, and that was it. But it was a lot of plays, a lot of repetition. How did that practice help?
Detail, man. Because we know what our team can be. All this league comes down to details, and that's what AP kind of installed in us. To be very detailed. Everybody do their job, and I think it paid off.
So there you go, Antonio Pierce being talked about by Amik Robertson. Of course, Amik's talking about the style of play as well and his opportunities when he's out there and the fact that he goes and makes plays and what he does when he gets the ball in his hands. But most importantly, as you heard him say, that I try not to make those plays, and I will clean up those plays. And I thought that was important, that he took his time, he paused, he thought about the plays that he messed up, and look, he's done that a couple times throughout the course of the season. And he had a holding penalty earlier in the year and came back and made a big play the very next play. I mean, there's going to be times where you make mistakes, but then you got to be able to clear it and bounce back. And so, yeah, he's trying to clean that up, and he's going to clean that up. But I just love the fact that was something that you could tell meant something to him just by the way he was responding to that question. So Amik Robertson in the Raiders locker room. Well, the other guy that got an interception on Sunday was Nate Hobbs. And it was a while. Nate's missed a bunch of games because of injuries, but he's back. He's a very physical guy. He's able to get a lot of open field tackles. I think that their secondary is better when Nate Hobbs is out there. Here's Nate Hobbs in the Raiders locker room following the game.
First off, congratulations. Big interception, big job by the defense. Really just, you've talked about complementary football, and this is kind of like the dictionary reference, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Like I said earlier, we just play cohesive football. When you play cohesive football, you're hard to beat. So,
for this team, in 4 days to have that kind of a transformation, says a lot about your coaching staff. Would you talk about the effort that they put in to prepare you guys this week? Because there were some new wrinkles and some things different.
PG, AP, Simo, everybody on the offensive side of the ball. We just see the work. All right, bro. We just see the work they put in, you know what I'm saying? And literally long, super long hours, you know what I'm saying? Could be more than 12 hours a week, and we just appreciate them. We really wanted to get the win for those guys, you know what I'm saying? Because they part of the brotherhood, too. So,
I think you were one of the biggest cheerleaders for Aiden O'Connell on that Trey Tucker bomb.
Yeah, bro.
Talk about the Rook.
Unbelievable job. Like, to step in mid-season, you get named starting quarterback on Tuesday or Wednesday, come in and do that poise, you know what I'm saying? Me and my boys, DBs, we just talking about the poise he had. It was incredible. Super proud of him, bro. Yeah.
What did you see from the coaching staff throughout the course of the week that prepared you, like you said, for this game today?
Them letting loose. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Not holding any bullets back. They was telling us all week, like, we're going to go out there and let you guys play, be who y'all are. You know what I'm saying? Y'all be who y'all are, we're going to be who we are. And the preparation and the plan they had for us was amazing, you know what I'm saying, for real. It was execution. And we as players, we really appreciate that. So like I said, that just make you go harder as a player for your coach when they put you in positions like that.
You're one of those guys that's always looking for the ball. That ball is floating in the air like that. What did you see when you saw that thing floating?
I saw a guy. He blessed me, you know what I'm saying? Blessed me with the interception. I needed it. I was starving for it, so I had to go get it.
What'd you see when you saw your brother Amik get one too?
Yeah, dog. Like I've been telling people, he's one of the best in the league when he get going. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying, on the field. He's one of the best in the league at taking the ball away. You know what I'm saying? If you look at the tape, it's crazy. So that ain't nothing new though. I expected that. So.
Jermaine said on Thursday that you guys had a really hard practice, but it was only about an hour long. But you guys did a lot of plays. What did that practice mean for you guys?
Just confidence. Just gave us confidence. You know what I'm saying? We worked our asses off, and it gave us confidence going into Sunday. It's so close to Sunday. Like, we just keep that same energy. That's all we got to do. Yeah. Do our job, do our part, keep that same energy. We're going to do what we did today.
Hey, can you talk a little about just how ever-free you guys played today? It seemed like you're intense, but also a clean game.
Yeah. Very intense. I feel like we play with our hearts out there. You know what I'm saying? We play for each other, not just to get off the field.
Right.
On both ends of the ball, we played for each other. Like, I'm not about to let him down. He's not finna let me down. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna bring our best to the field.
What did you think about the crowd having your back and giving you guys all that energy?
It was great. It was electric in there, bro, and you can't ask for a better day of football.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was lovely. Just all thanks to God, too. You know what I'm saying? He put everybody in that stadium. They weren't there for no reason. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't. He wasn't. Nobody was there for no reason. So this is an amazing day, and I just thank God for real.
Final question for you: was there a verse of the day or a chapter of the day for you today?
I ain't even read a chapter of the day. I said my prayers, and God filled me with that spirit. That's all He had to do today.
Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So there's Nate Hobbs. You hear from both guys who got interceptions on Sunday. Again, the Raiders came out with 8 sacks and 2 picks. What a defensive performance. But then again, had a hell of a day offensively as well. Was it super overwhelming numbers? No, not at all. But you can see a really good performance by Josh Jacobs. Aiden O'Connell didn't make any mistakes. That's the most important thing. No turnovers, no sacks, right? So, I mean, that was an all in all. I said it multiple times. That was the best overall team performance I've seen from the Raiders in a very long time. All 3 phases of the game I felt were successful. Offense, defense, special teams, and I thought the coaching did a hell of a job as well. Bo Hardegree, the interim offensive coordinator, Antonio Pierce, interim head coach, and, of course, Patrick Graham, the defensive coordinator as well, did a hell of a job with what they had to do. So that's what we got for you for segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Coming up in segment number 3, your calls and text throughout that Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. Before we get to that, though, do want to tell you about the title sponsor of the show, which is FanDuel. You can score early this NFL season with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. So it obviously pays to be a new customer. That's $150 if your team wins. If you're thinking about joining FanDuel, you should. You should do it right now because there's no better time to get in on the action and definitely no better place. The app, super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and a whole lot more. Again, the app is super simple, a lot of fun, especially player props. I always enjoy playing those. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Get into the NFL season the right way with FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. Here we go, Raider Nation. Segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Your calls and texts straight off that Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. Let's get into the first call from Raider X. He's calling to talk about the game on Sunday and what he feels Antonio Pierce brought to the table for the Silver and Black. Here he is, Raider X.
Hey, Q, this is Raider X. Just wanted to give my thoughts on the Sunday game. Wow, what a Raider win. Only way I can explain it, short and fast, quick and simple, is, man, it's like AP came in there, and it kind of reminds me of like a big brother, or your big buddy, coming and got in your back. You get into a situation, or maybe you got some dudes, want to get a little crazy on you, a little froggy, and all of a sudden he shows up behind you and kind of like takes that weight off you, makes you feel comfortable, makes you feel open, makes you feel secure, makes you feel like you can be yourself. You got some freedom, you got a little bit of, swag on you, you can do your thing. And you can see that. Everybody's comfortable. Everybody's being themselves. Everybody's out there and going to be able to do who they are. Man, this is great. Really good. So excited. The energy. And, man, what a leader. I mean, putting the practice squad guys on the sidelines over there and allowing them to cheer along because you're all one team. Practice squad, sitting squad, field squad, whatever. You're all a team. Man, I love it. That's what being a Raider is all about. Love it, man. Raider X out.
Thank you for the call, my man. I appreciate you. And, yeah, I think Coach Pierce provided much-needed leadership, energy, excitement. Also, he showed the confidence in the players, in the locker room. And the locker room, I think, was a bad place. Even though the players weren't going to say it was a bad place, and they still don't say it was a bad place, but you could tell by the reaction. You could tell by the hoop game Thursday after practice inside the locker room. You could tell by the smiles and the just the energy in the locker room. You could tell by the cigar smoking after the victory. Mad Max Crosby goes out and buys the cigars and passes them out to everybody. You could just tell by the celebration that a big dark cloud had been lifted off the organization, off those players. And so, again, they're not going to come out and say that the last staff, wore them out or drug them down. But, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to read between the lines of what was going on. So, the journey is going to only get tougher from here. They've got 8 more games left to go, guaranteed. And now there's a little bit of film on what Bo Hardegree likes to do as far as a play caller, Aiden O'Connell, even Coach Pierce, kind of what his tendencies are, and they'll continue to grow. The more film that's out there, the tougher it's going to be. Remember, defensive coordinators get paid as well, so we'll just continue to see what they do and how it goes, but at least there's a good found energy right now with Raider Nation, and of course that Raiders team is something that they needed in a major way. Up next, got a text from Raider Al in Georgia. It says, Q, that was so refreshing to see. A few things that stood out was Aiden O'Connell had somewhat a quick release, and the offensive line played well. No sacks. That was nice. I listened all week on WFAN about how Wink Martindale was going to blitz the rookie and confuse him, but how did that work out? Also, a question for you. Who was the number 2 quarterback on Sunday? That Raider Al in Georgia. Thanks for the text. And, yeah, I thought that Wink Martindale was going to do that too, and he did try, but the offensive line was very good at slowing them down. And on top of that, the Raiders had a really good game plan as far as the running game goes, and something that Jermaine Illuminor alluded to when I talked to him in the locker room post-game. You can hear that on Monday's episode if you didn't get to check that out. But Jermaine Illuminor said that they saw, hey, this is how this team was really good against them. This is how this team went up against them, and this is how this team was effective. So they had a really good game plan going in, and obviously it worked in a major way. Aiden O'Connell did not get sacked at all, and he didn't turn the ball over at all either. As far as the number 2 quarterback, it was Jimmy. Jimmy G was the number 2 quarterback. Brian Hoyer was inactive, and the one thing I thought was pretty important and cool was the fact that every single time that Aiden was warming up, he was warming up with Jimmy. Jimmy was throwing passes to guys and just kind of keeping Aiden O'Connell loose and everything. And so I think that Jimmy is a pro's pro. And even though I'm sure he wants to be playing rather than sitting there watching a rookie play, he gets it. He understands the situation. He's a pro's pro. He's not going to pout. He's not going to try to make the locker room disruptive. He's going to be there to support. And that's what he did do. I got to give him credit for that. That's what he did on Sunday, and that's what he'll do moving forward until his number gets called again, if it gets called again. But Jimmy G is going to always be, like I said, a pro's pro and never be a disruptive dude. But thanks so much for that text. I do appreciate you. Up next, got a call from Jay Raider in the 760. He's calling to talk about Antonio Pierce and how he feels about him as the interim head coach for the Silver and Black.
What's going on, Q? It's your boy Jay Raider coming from the 760. Just calling after, the game. It's Monday, Victory Monday. Super excited about the game, man. I think all of Raider Nation showed out, and the players and everybody, they showed up, just like, Antonio Pierce said. One thing I wanted to mention, Q, I was a little bit hesitant on jumping on the Antonio Pierce, the whole hype surrounding him, just because, as a Raider fan, you got to remain optimistic, because you never know, man. You get hyped and you get disappointed in a major way. So I really wanted to see what he had to offer as far as, in game. And he's everything that he, said he would do. And the players are bought in, man. You can just tell this guy has just lit a fire under these players. They are fighting hard, and the energy, you can just see it, Q. There's, one thing you can't teach someone to be a leader. Either you're a leader or you're not, and AP is definitely a leader of men, and these guys are they're going to fight for him, and I'm just going to call it right now, Q. I think he keeps the head coaching job, and Champ Kelly as well keeps the GM job. I think what these guys are doing is something special, and I think we're only, seeing the beginnings of something new. I truly do believe that, Q, and I think we're going to see it moving forward. And I think Mark Davis, he's going to learn from his past. I don't think he's going to create the same mistake twice regarding Rich Bisaccia. I think he's going to stick with this guy. Yeah, man. We're ready. We're ready to go. Raider Nation is fired up. We're excited again. I didn't think I was going to say that. I was not wanting to watch any more games, man. It was just frustrating and just disheartening to watch this talented team. And clearly we have talent, and it showed. And, this is the potential of what this team could do moving forward. As long as they click and they're doing things right, they're definitely going to be a dominant team. So we'll see what happens next week with the Jets. We'll see tonight against the Chargers. But I have a good feeling, Q. Anyways, keep up the good work. Jay Raider out.
Jay Raider, thanks for the call, my man. And look, I'm not ready to call the interim guys to keep their jobs, right? It's only been 1 week. I like the direction they're going. I'll say this, and I've said it before, I never root for guys to get fired. I wasn't rooting for Josh McDaniels or Dave Ziegler to get fired, but I will root for guys to succeed. So I'm definitely rooting for Coach Pierce. I'm definitely rooting for Champ Kelly. I'm definitely rooting for Bo Hardegree. I would love to see them have something, a reason for Raider Nation to say, yeah, these guys need to keep their job. Like, I hope that when it's all said and done, or when it's getting closer to the end of the season, I hope everyone's flooding the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line saying, if these guys don't keep their job, then Mark Davis is crazy. Like, I want to hear that. That means that some good things have happened more than just a week 1 victory over the Giants. I want to see them competitive down the stretch. And look, again, I'm not ready to say that that's what's going to happen, that they're going to get that opportunity. I don't know. I'm not inside of Mark Davis's head, so I don't know what he's thinking. I think all options are on the table. I do believe that. And I do think that the chance that they'll have to hold on to their jobs will depend on how the Raiders finish this season. And if they finish somewhat similar to what the Detroit Lions finished a season ago, where they didn't make the playoffs, but you knew that they had a lot of hope. Like, you could tell that they were going in the right direction. They just needed to tweak some things here and there, and they were going to be cooking with grease. If they finish like that, I think that they have a great chance. Now, that's just me scatter shooting. That's just me coming from my gut. That's not anything I've heard from anyone, so it's not like it's a report. I'm not reporting that. Again, I want to repeat, I'm not reporting that before someone goes to Twitter and says, well, Q said this is all it's going to take. No, I didn't say that. There's certain people that will not hear anything but what they want to hear. I'm not saying that at all. My gut feeling is saying that there's a good chance, that they'll have a good consideration, like, let's put it like that, if they provide that kind of juice towards the end of the season, like the Detroit Lions did, Dan Campbell did with Detroit Lions a year ago, and you see where they're at right now. So, that's just, like I said, just my gut feeling. But thanks so much for that call. I do appreciate you. I just got time for a couple more. I got a text from Tim in Oregon. Hey, Q, happy Victory Monday to you. I'm sure it's been difficult starting the week with negativity for 8 weeks. Yeah, there was some wins, but ugly wins. This win against the Giants, in a word, beautiful. This is the team we all thought this could be. Our team won the battle, not the war. A long way to go, but Sunday was a good day. The best stat I saw from Aiden O'Connell, 16 for 25, 209 yards, not 25 for 35. And Josh Jacobs, 26 attempts, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. For me, that's how you win games in the NFL. Now, more than ever, because this has become a passing league, defenses are devising plays against the pass and have forgotten how to defend the run. I truly believe a run-first offense will win more games now than a pass-always offense. Anyway, fantastic Sunday, Q. Bring on the Jets. Raiders. That's Tim in Oregon. And that goes back to what we were talking about, the last few weeks when everyone said, just get rid of the run. You can't run the ball. And I kept saying this team is not built to throw the ball 45, 50 times a game. They can't do that. They're not going to win a lot of games like that. This team has to be able to run the ball. As Antonio Pierce told Josh Jacobs, you are the heart and soul of this team. This team goes as you go, right? Just like Antonio Pierce told me, the offensive line, they're only going to go as far as he goes. Those guys go hand in hand, the offensive line and Josh Jacobs. So, yeah, there's got to be a really good balance. And you can win a ton of games with a lot of balance and strong defense play. And on Sunday against the Giants, the Raiders had exactly that. So hopefully they continue to do that moving forward. Got another call, last call from Raider Mang, I believe, in Dallas, Texas. I probably got the name wrong. I apologize. Actually, a first-time caller. Want to give a shout-out to the Raiders and the Raider Nation. Here's Raider Mang in Dallas, Texas.
Hey, Q. It's your boy, Raider Mangs, calling out of Dallas, Texas. First-time caller, long-time listener. I just want to give a shout-out to the Raiders and Raider Nation for that complete team victory. Hopefully they can keep it up this weekend against the Jets, where I'll be attending my first Raider home game with my Raider crew. We all listen to your show, to your podcast religiously. I think it'd be pretty cool if we could see you in person and say what's up. Raider Nation, let's show up and show out. The team needs us now more than ever, guys. Stay positive. Let's go, baby.
Thank you for the call, my man. I appreciate you. Sorry I messed up your name if I messed up your name, but thanks for being a new booty caller. I do appreciate you. And, of course, it'd be great to meet you. I love to meet and greet with Raider Nation on the Coors Light landing there at Allegiant Stadium, right next to the Torch. I do the pregame show, which is 3 hours before kickoff. Then I pass the sticks on to JT the Brick and Eric Allen. They lead you up to kickoff. They have the official pregame show, and then Jason Horowitz and Lincoln Kennedy are on the call of the game. And so, yeah, man, I'd love to meet you. I'll be there, like I said, 3 hours before kickoff on Sunday. I'll hang out for a little while. I always hang out because I do appreciate talking to all the Raider Nation. It's very humbling how many people, listen to the podcast and what the podcast means to them. So definitely would love to do that. So you and the crew, man, definitely stop by and say what's up. I'd love to shake your hand and talk some Raider football with you. Let's close out with one more text. Text from Eddie and Angie. Says, hey, Q, Eddie and Angie from Rancho Cucamonga. The wife and I saw you at the Torch to wish you a happy late birthday. What a great gift the Raiders gave you. Wow, what a game. The rookies came through. We finally broke 21 points. O'Connell distributed the ball around, but still want to see Devontae get the ball a little more. What a beautiful thing when our running game is on. Got to give props to the defense, complimentary football. P.S. It was nice watching the game in comfort. That's from Eddie and Angie in Rancho Cucamonga. And, yeah, you're right about that, man. It wasn't one of those that you were stressed out to the end. You knew the Raiders were going to win that one, and it felt good to know that, right? It was great to see the Raiders defense play the way that they did, create turnovers and get sacks. And it was nice to see Josh Jacobs really get going and see he was having a good time. I'm with you. I'd like to see Devontae get a little bit more involved. It took a while before he ever really started getting involved in the game. But a couple things that stood out to me that he did that was pretty important, besides just take double coverage away, and especially on that Trey Tucker deep shot, Devontae, the way he ran his route, all the coverage went to him, and Trey Tucker was one-on-one, and you saw what happened there. But also on the Jacoby Myers run, the first touchdown of the game, it was really good blocking on the outside from Devontae Adams. He dedicates himself to being a really good blocker. Not all wide receivers do that. The really good ones, the elite ones, they do, but not all of them do. Devontae does, and I saw him block many times, not only for Jacoby, but for Josh Jacobs. I thought that was really good as well. And he said before, if they're winning games, he don't care how many catches he gets. He don't care how many targets. Yeah, he'd like more, but he doesn't really care. It's when they're losing is when he's like, okay, give me the ball. I need to make some things happen. You got to get me more involved in this game. So thanks so much for that. And it was great to meet you at the Torch as well. And thanks for the birthday wishes. And thanks to everyone that gave me the birthday wishes at the Torch, on the podcast, whatever the case may be, calling into the radio station. That was awesome and humbling as well. So thanks so much for that. As always, that's going to do it for today's show. Coming up tomorrow, we'll have a little bit more news and notes. We'll have some more calls and texts, and we'll really kind of close the door and shut the page on the Giants and start to turn the page to the New York Jets and Week 10 of the NFL season. So until then, Raider Nation, take care of yourself, take care of your family, love on your family. Most importantly, as always, just win, baby.